Well, hello and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are, to this PV Magazine virtual awards ceremony for 2020, looking back on the innovations last year that were selected as worthy of being award winners by our expert juries at PV Magazine. Throughout today, we'll be celebrating and recognizing 7 award winners who represent different categories right across the PV supply chain. We'll also be hearing from jury representatives from each category who'll be sharing their insights, and they'll also be in conversation with each of the winners. You also have a chance to ask questions right throughout our event today of our expert jurors, also of our award winners. So please don't hesitate to get in touch via the GoToWebinar control panel. You can ask a question, put that in the questions box, and be a part of the discussion today. My name's Jonathan Gifford. I'm the editor-in-chief of PV Magazine Global, and I'll be your master of ceremonies today. Hello, Marian.
Hello, Jonathan. My name is Marian Vloen. I'm also an editor with PV Magazine, and it's my pleasure to be here today at this PV Magazine annual award ceremony, virtual annual award ceremony. This year, we received 115 entries across the 7 categories, and that's clearly a sign how globally integrated our global solar industry is. We had entries coming from 18 different countries, 40 of those from China. We had 29 from various European countries and 24 from the United States. And I think that also reflects the top runner position of these 3 regions in driving the global solar supply chain. There were also some truly interesting trends we discovered. We saw that the quite extensive list of product entries, the manufacturers of those products tried to make them more efficient, easier to use, easier to scale, and much cheaper to deploy. And we were also seeing that some of the technologies that just a short while ago were considered cutting edge and expensive, they are now entering mass production at dazzlingly low cost. And with that, a big kudos to all the companies out there that are driving the solar sector's competitive edge by making the products cheaper, easier to use, more versatile, so they can really substitute some of the old forms of electricity generation just as the world needs. Also, a very big shout out to our jury members. We have formed 6 expert juries formed together from some of the world's most renowned analyst firms and research institutes. But let's not forget all the engineers, technologists, and veteran industry insiders that have taken the time and their expertise to navigate us through all of these entries to determine who deserves this year's PV Magazine award. A big thank you from all of PV Magazine.
Absolutely. And it is great. We've got some wonderful jurors, some very experienced, very knowledgeable people joining our event today. And as I mentioned, you can ask them questions. Just to give you a few more pieces of practical information about our event, we will be making a recording of this webinar, of this award ceremony, and all registrants will receive a link to the recording. Everyone who's registered, even if you weren't able to attend, and of course you can share that link with colleagues and friends who also weren't able to join us. We won't be sharing the presentation, however, but if you have any technical questions, you have any little glitches with the platform, don't hesitate to get in touch with our events team who are standing by to provide some help and iron out any little problems that you may have. As I mentioned, I'm going to keep saying this all day. Please send your questions through. Marian, myself, and our other moderators will be bringing your questions to our representatives from the winners and also to our expert jurors. I'll be hosting the modules category in about half an hour's time, but first up will be inverters, which is, you're in the driving seat for that, Marian.
Absolutely, that's right. I'll be kicking this off with handing the Inverters Award just right after this intro session. But let's take a quick look at the running order of today's award ceremony. So I told you we have the Inverters Award going up first, but then my colleague Mark Hutchins will be handing over the Materials Award, and Jonathan, you again will come on stage to hand the Modules Award. Mark again will be in charge of telling us the winner in the BOS category, and this year again we have a sustainability award, and Jonathan, you'll be handing that over. And yeah, and I have the honor of handing the storage award. Just before Jonathan, you'll be interviewing our publisher Eckhard Kuras for his choice of the publisher's pick this year. But yeah, with no further ado, I think we can come to the Inverters Award. So this year, we received 17 entries in the Inverter Award category, and of these, the vast majority featured some form of storage capability or storage integration capability. And especially, we had a lot of hybrid inverters. That's a clear trend that we could see in this. And I think some of the most prominent features among the hybrid inverters was to provide full backup power capability. We also had a visible trend in terms of DC to AC ratios, with 200% DC oversizing capacity is no rarity anymore on the market. And of course, in terms of grid services, we saw that especially the bigger inverters for utility and CNI sector have more and more capabilities in terms of providing low voltage ride-through capability or virtual inertia. We also have ever-falling rates of total harmonic distortion. So those were some of the trends that we saw this year. We had those 17 entries were decided by our expert jury. We had Haki Karakauglan. He's the founder and CEO of KRC Energy Consulting and Trading. We also had Jenya Maidbray. He's the CEO of PVEL or PV Evolution Labs. We had Miguel de Jesus as a solar market analyst with IHS Markit. And we had Marco Jung, professor at the University of Bonn-Rhein-Sieg, and he's also the department head for power electronics and electric drive systems at Fraunhofer IEE. Coming to the finalists, of those 17, we had the Grobot Grow Home system, which is a hybrid inverter, and with a fairly comprehensive set of systems it could steer within a residential system to achieve ever higher rates of self-sufficiency. We had the Sangro 3-phase hybrid inverter. It's called SH10RT. We also had Jinglong's utility string inverter, a 255 kilowatt string inverter. We had Keiko's Energy Blue Planet GridSafe 92. It's a battery storage inverter for the CNI market with silicon carbide MOSFETs instead of traditional IGBT semiconductors. And we had SolarEdge's Energy Hub Prism. And the winner is, it was SolarEdge, the energy inverter with Prism technology. And joining us from the jury today is Haki. Hello, Haki.
Hi, Marianne. Good morning to everyone. Good afternoon, good evening.
Haki, what made you choose, you and the jury, what made you choose the SolarEdge inverter as the best inverter entering our award this year?
First of all, on behalf of the inverter jury, a big thumb up for SolarEdge team for this year's award. Lately, we are talking a lot about being smart inverters, smart batteries, smart home with all its smart appliances, besides smartphones, but also smart EVs. The challenge is bring them all together in a smart way. And SolarEdge convinced us, not because of their smart inverters or smart battery systems, but because of offering a product which is not only a product, it's an energy management system, which combines all these products together in one single hub. This management system manages not only the solar production, battery storage, EV charging, or backup power, and other smart home appliances, but it combines all of them. So this was the main reason why we have chosen Smart SolarEdge for this year's Inverter Awards.
All right, thank you. And from SolarEdge, we have Mia Ades, the co-founder and chief information officer of SolarEdge, coming here. Meir, hello and congratulations to you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and thank you so much for selecting our Energy Hub.
Well, and dear viewers, you now have the chance to forward your questions about the SolarEdge Energy Hub Inverter with Prism technology, and I'll be happy to forward them in a minute's time. And just to give you one moment to write your question in the, and there's a questions box on the right-hand side control panel where you can type them in, and they'll pop up on my screen, and then I can forward them to Mia. But Haki, did you get that?
No, you
No.
were frozen. But I can give a small question to Meir, or maybe an explanation from Meir, maybe about the smart hub and smart hub connectivity possibilities. Maybe a little more insights. How do you do this? Can you give us some more information on that?
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to. So, as you said, Haki, really the Energy Hub is the way we see it is it's a hub to control both the consumption and the production of the energy, and it's really an ecosystem that's not only a product or a number of products, but also a software suite and basically an operating system to run the whole thing. So from the software side, there's the My SolarEdge Hub, which is an application for the homeowner to control the different devices, and really this is an ongoing project. So there will be more software upgrades down the line, which allow control of more and more devices and applications to manage the energy of the home.
Yeah, great. What about, for example, you mentioned more and more devices connectivity will be available. Especially here in Germany, we are talking about a lot about a hot topic, which is heat pumps. How is the integration of heat pumps, for example, in such a smart hub?
Right. So as you said, definitely the higher consuming, the higher energy consuming products are I think the key and the most interesting ones to control. And really heat pumps, whether it's heat pumps for water heating or for HVAC are super important. So for water heating, we already have a device that controls the heat pump and could be controlled from the application, so you could manage the energy consumption. So that you're using the electricity when you have most of it or when it's cheapest to use. And we're also looking into integrating also with other suppliers for air. That's an ongoing effort, which stay tuned.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I have one question coming from the audience, and that is asking which appliances can be integrated in the energy management system, and what makes it so special. Integrating different devices is the definition of energy management, and it's think there are plenty who do it, and there's Fronius, SMA, E3DC, Greencom. What makes this SolarEdge system particularly good?
Yeah, so there are different suppliers which control different devices, but I don't think really there's a holistic approach to managing the whole system as a system, and that's what we're aiming to do with the Energy Hub, both by controlling the production side, the PV and the batteries, and the main consumers. So electric vehicle chargers, water heating, air heating, etc. So the combination and the software to control it, that is I think a key feature which is important for our customers.
And can you explain a little bit how SolarEdge has been acquiring some of those companies, EV charging companies, and how leveraging owning these companies can help developing a system, a digital system to steer all these loads and then control these loads in a better fashion. What would the limitations be otherwise?
Well, so what you want is one system to control when you're using the power and to optimize it, to reduce the cost to the homeowner and to maximize the benefit from what they're doing. And if you have different parts which are each controlled in a different way without some sort of smart centralized solution which could look at the whole thing, you're obviously not optimizing your solution.
And speaking of optimization, what in terms of feature sets can the Solar Edge system provide? And in terms of optimization, is it only to improve self-consumption, or can it also be set to do other things?
Yeah, so not only, obviously self-consumption is a big part, but a trend which I think you also mentioned we're definitely seeing is more and more interest in backup solutions and being able to work also when there's a power outage and being off the grid. We saw that as a very high priority request in North America, but now it's moving also towards Europe as well. So that's obviously one thing which is a key part of the solution. And another is when you're grid tied, a lot of the utilities are coming to realize that grid services, and grid services is a general title that hides all kinds of different mechanisms and features under it, are important, whether it's a frequency control or power control or reactive power control or data services, and all of these features which are constantly changing with time and adapting as the grid operators are becoming smarter and have a better understanding of what features they need, are things which many of them are already integrated into the Energy Hub, and since we're software upgradable, we're continuing to increase the functionality in that realm.
You took a little bit more from the last question. I will forward to you, but can existing systems be retrofitted with the Energy Hub inverter and the Prism technology? And in terms of future updates, how open is it? What can we expect there?
Yeah, so the short answer is yes to both questions. On the one hand, existing systems could be upgraded with the Energy Hub, and on the other hand, the Energy Hub is built in such a way that we're trying to make sure that it's as future-proof as possible. So once you have an energy system, you could add on features or abilities to the system as you go, whether it's by adding backup functionality or adding more storage or adding connection to an EV, or software capabilities such as controlling smart homes or grid services. It's kind of future-proof on both of those levels.
All right. Thank you, Meir, for joining us today, and congratulations again for the PV Magazine award.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
It was a pleasure to have you on here, and Haki, also thank you for representing the jury and on today's award ceremony.
On the behalf of jury, thank you all.
Thank you.
And with that, we're moving on in the program. Since inverters are not all that is in a solar system, my colleague Mark Hutchins will be presenting to you the award in the materials category. Just any minute now.
Thanks, Marianne. And congratulations as well to Solar Edge. And yes, next up is the materials category, where we are getting down into the detail of PV module manufacturing, looking at the cells, the ribbons, the backsheets, and all the other components that, however small they may be, have a vital role to play in ensuring long-term high quality performance from a PV module. And these materials also are in many ways forging new possibilities, new applications, and new technology pathways for the entire solar industry. And as we will see a little later today in the modules category, the trend in the past year has been very much about the move to larger formats and higher power ratings. And with this elsewhere on the materials side, we see some rapid adaptations to ensure the cost reduction potential of this approach in wafer production is borne out in the end product, in the actual module that's produced. And alongside these all-important efforts to bring down costs and to meet expectations for ever longer product lifetimes, we also see innovations focused on reducing PV modules' environmental footprint in manufacturing, and on opening up new use cases for things like building integrated and even ultra lightweight PV. On our independent jury for this category, we have Jonathan Govertz, a researcher with IMEC Energyville based over in Belgium. And we have Alex Barrows, research director at Exawatt. They were able to narrow down 4 finalists from the extensive list of entries received, which were the DSM endurance backsheet, the Jolywood with the N-type TOPCon cell, Coveme with their DIMAT backsheet and front sheet, and Ulbrich Technologies with their black ready ribbon. And the winner chosen by our independent jury is Jolywood with its N-type TOPCon cell. And we will hear from the winners in just a moment. Representing the jury, though, we have Alex Barrows, research director at Exawatt, online with us this morning. Alex, hi. So what were the jurors' thoughts on this year's set of entries overall in materials?
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, we had a lot of really interesting entries this year, and it's always tricky trying to pick a winner, especially nowadays with deployment scenarios for PV varying so widely. There's obviously a lot of scope for innovation there, and we've got some innovations that are targeting the whole market and others that are targeting a very specific niche. So it's always tricky trying to pick a winner when you've got such a broad range. And for us this year, we decided that we wanted to go for something that we thought could have a large impact on the broader market over the next few years, and that's why we chose Jolywood as the winner in the end.
Okay, and alongside Jolywood as the winner, I think there was quite a bit of discussion around QC Solar's high current junction box. That's I think a particularly on-trend innovation and a rapid adaptation this year. Would you agree with that, first of all?
Yeah, I think it was an entry that really demonstrated the importance of sort of the right place at the right time in this industry. We've seen obviously a huge amount of interest in 2020 in terms of larger format wafers, larger format cells, and larger format modules. And a key enabler of that is all of the bill of materials. So from things like producing glass of the right width through to backsheets, junction boxes. And yeah, the QC high current junction box entry is really one that's we thought was interesting because although it might not be as technically innovative as some of the other entries, it was really showing the importance of being in the right place at the right time and enabling the module producers to realize the modules that they want to make and the cost reductions that they want to make with those modules. And I think it really shows the importance of material suppliers either working in sync with their customers or reacting to their customers' choices very, very quickly and bringing these new bill of materials onto the market as rapidly as possible.
Thanks. And the other highly commended entry in this category was Coveme with the with the DIMAT backsheet. What was it that you and Jonathan saw particularly commendable about this one?
Yeah, so that was one that was interesting because it's applicable both to a sort of a large utility scale market and to some more niche applications. So obviously there's a lot of interest in bifacial modules at the moment. And at Exawatt, we certainly see a lot of growth opportunity for transparent backsheets, and the DIMAT entry can be used to address that market, and particularly in some harsher desert applications. But it's also interesting from a point of view of exploring some more novel and niche applications when used as a front sheet for flexible modules and the like. So that was interesting because it was one product range that was addressing both a large-scale market issue and a niche application issue.
Absolutely. Moving on then to our winner, what was it about Jolywood's TopCon cell that really stood out among the entries?
So I think this is one that certainly for me, I can see making a large impact on the evolution of the market over the next few years and the broader PV market. There's obviously a lot of interest in what comes next after PERC, and it's really good to see a Chinese manufacturer pushing these N-type technologies to multi-gigawatt scales at competitive production costs, and really starting to iron out some of the mass production issues that you get with trying to produce these technologies at low cost. And interesting as well to see Jolywood moving these products into large-scale utility applications, as well as the sort of space-constrained rooftop settings that we're used to seeing high-efficiency cell technologies in. And yeah, I think the impact of companies like Jolywood pushing forward TopCon efficiency, as they've done recently, and pushing down production cost is something that has the potential to sort of have a real impact on where the market is and what manufacturers are producing, over the next 2, 3, 4 years. So it's very interesting to hear how they've managed to get some of the improvements that they have, and things like cell manufacturing yields that were a big issue for TopCon a few years ago. It's interesting to hear about how they've evolved over the last few years and how that has improved in mass production. And it's certainly it's the entry that I feel I'm very interested to see what happens with it over the course of 2021 and where it can go in the near future.
Thanks very much, Alex, and please stay on the line. Now it is my honor to introduce Dr. Chen Jia, Deputy General Manager at Jolywood. And we do hope to have a couple of minutes for questions from our audience at the end. So please do send in your questions for Chen via the live chat function that's up and running today. Chen, welcome and congratulations. It's great to have you with us today. First of all, what does it mean to you and to Jolywood to be selected as the winner of the PV Magazine Award?
Hi, Mark and Alex. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much, or I should say, first of all, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for Mark, Alex, and all the live audience of PV Magazines. First of all, I think it's really a big honor for Jolywood to receive this PV Magazine Award 2020 in the category of materials. Actually, PV Magazine Award is really a prestigious award, and what is most important from the previous record, I think that this award really is visionary at predicting what will be the big impact to the solar industries in terms of technology and also in terms of the applications. So by receiving this award, it's really a big recognition of Jolywood's contribution or effort in pushing N-type technology, especially N-type TopCon technology in the applications in the world. So we are actually very, very happy.
Thanks very much, Chen. And Alex, I will hand over to you for a moment. What questions did the Jolywood cell raise for you and Jonathan from IMEC as our award jurors?
Yeah, hi Chen. Thanks very much for coming on. One thing that I was wondering is, I know that Jolywood has had some very impressive results with its new, I think it's called POP-AID technology, the plasma oxidation and plasma assisted in situ doping. And is that something that you've already rolled out across your mass production lines, or is that something that's still at the pilot line stage and is due to be rolled out later this year?
Yes, recently, actually, or about 3 months ago, we have made a media announcement that we have made some new progress in the TopCon technology, which we develop this new processing step, which we call pulpit. This pulpit is a technology which we can do the in situ dopings without any wraparound. So by having these functions or these processing outcomes, we can remove quite some steps in the current industrial TOPCon processing flow, and also improve the efficiency, the yield, and reduce the cost. But the TOPCon or the pulpit technology is enabled by a equipment which co-developed by Jollywood and also one of the two companies which have joint venture with Jollywood. As this is a very new tools, currently we only have a limited number of these tools. So only limited number of lines are actually upgraded with the TOPCon technologies.
I think we might have lost just lost Chen there for a minute. I think he's frozen up. Sorry. So Alex, well, what do you think then? What's interesting for you about this the POP-aid technology?
So I think there's a couple of things. Ooh, not sure whether we've got Chen back there for a second.
Hello, Chen. Can you hear us? Oh, now he's gone.
Yeah, I think part of it is the reduction in steps. Obviously, it's not something I've seen with my own eyes yet, but the claimed reduction in processing steps is certainly interesting.
Oh, Chen, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, you're back online. I think that's great. Sorry,
yes.
Sorry for the technical hitch there. Please carry on.
Yeah, I don't know which part I lost, but let me come from the beginning again. Which I mentioned that TOPCon is a new process which we developed in Jollywood with a joint venture with equipment suppliers, trying to have the in situ doping for the TOPCon layers without any wraparounds. So, but this is enabled by a new tools which was not exist in the market before. So while making a lot of these new tools in the future, we will gradually upgrade our production lines into this new processing route.
Brilliant, thanks very much. Do you mind if I ask, is this going to be available as an equipment set to your competitors as well, or is this going to be exclusively for Jollywood, this POP-aid technology?
Actually, for Jollywood, we have been pushing N-type technology for quite some time, and we understand, or we believe that the N-type technology can only grow if we have more partners, if we have more alliance, or if we have more companies who are working on N-type together. So definitely, we would like to share this technology with other people in these industries, but this will happen in a step-by-step ways. Maybe sometimes of this year, or it will happen in the right place, in the right time.
Thanks a lot, Chen. And for now, though, I believe that N-type cell production is still slightly more expensive than P-type, though the efficiencies, of course, are quite impressive. Where do you see the potential to bring these costs down in the next couple of years?
Yes, if at the cell level, the cost of the N-type cell now is slightly higher than P-type cells. But one thing I want to stress is that despite a slightly higher cost at making the N-type cells or N-type modules, but actually now the electricity cost or levelized cost of energy actually now is lower for N-type technologies due to its high bifaciality, lower degradation, lower temperature coefficient, and higher energy output. So actually, in a lot of regions or a lot of applications, the N-type, the cost of energy is already lower. But of course, we still hope that we can continue improve the N-type technology to reduce its cost, so that maybe one day, even at the cell level, the cell cost will be lower for N-type. And for now, I think the biggest challenge is how to reduce the metallization cost for the N-type technology. I think previously with this pulpit technology, we have solved one of the biggest problems, which is considered as the wraparound, so that the processing step, the processing flow is quite lean compared with P per canal. But next step, we have to reduce the material cost. So the silver cost for the TOPCon should be the next biggest problems or the questions to be addressed by the N-type cell manufacturers.
Okay, thanks for that, Chen. And well, one question that I think will come up quite a few times this morning. The past year among cell makers, the key trend really has been this move to larger formats with the 182 and the 210 millimeter wafer. Where does Jolywood stand on this?
For Jolywood, actually, for us, we think that the key for the improving or the technology improvement for the PV market, especially in the cell region, should be focused on the cell efficiency, not on the cell size. But of course, last year, I mean, it's more popular to talk about the cell size. But for the next year, I think that the biggest topic will be the cell technologies. And currently, with our own evaluation, we think that TOPCons with its higher efficiency is compatible with both 182 or 210, the wafer size. And for Jolywood, we will have our new processing lines, which are compatible with both sides. Which size we are going to make depends on the demand of our customers. Personally, I think that for 210, it will be slightly more challenging because with all the diffusion process, we have to make sure that the uniformity is kept still very high, well, with the bigger size. So 210 will be slightly more challenging compared with the 182.
Okay, thanks very much. Finally, then, Chen, what else can we expect to see from Jolywood in 2021? What's on your technology roadmap and expansion plans?
Yes, first of all, for the technology, we hope to further improve the efficiency of the TOPCon cells and also reduce the cost significantly. So I think that by doing that, we can really make TOPCon the next generation cells technologies. At the same time, of course, the cell is not the ultimate product for our customers. We are also trying to design some nice modules for our customers. N-type cells, they have a very high efficiency, high bifaciality, low degradations. So it's a very suitable in a lot of applications, not only in China, but also outside China, in the Middle East, in the Europe. Actually, our products are very popular. But we also want to combine this high efficiency or technical advance with good appearance. So we are making like all black modules. So we want to really present a product which are not high-tech in terms of efficiency, but also has a very good appearance. So that's in terms of product. In terms of expansions, while we have received a lot of attentions and a lot of support or contributions to support our expansions, but the pace of expansions is really decided by how well or how mature the technology we are going to further examine or we are further test. But of course, this year we will have some expansion plans, but currently I cannot disclose the actual number yet.
Sure. Well, thanks very much. And I think, well, we are going to have to wrap this up here as we have plenty more categories to get through today. So thanks first of all to Alex and all of our expert jurors. We really are grateful for all of the time you've put into this. And congratulations once again to Chen Jia and to Jolywood, winners of the PV Magazine Award in Materials. I will be back shortly with the Balance of Systems Award. For now, though, I will hand back over to Jonathan Gifford with the winners of the all-important modules category.
Thank you very much, Marky, and thanks to Alex, and congratulations once again to Jolywood, continuing to push N-type technology on the cell level, and interesting also to hear about this POP-aid production technique. We'll see how that moves into production and whether that can continue to drive N-type technology in the bigger scheme of things. Well, coming up, we've still got some more award categories to come. Balance of Systems Award is next. Then we will have Sustainability, then BESS, which is Battery Energy Storage Systems, and we'll be rounding out our 2020 awards ceremony today with the publisher's pick. So please do stick around for that. But now, as Mark said, we are onto modules, very much the building block of the modern PV industry, and the cost reductions we've seen over the last decade in terms of module production has been absolutely stellar. But in 2020, it was very much the year of the big module. Everything seemed to be going big. Modules with larger formats, cells with larger formats, 400 and even 500 watt plus power outputs. But in fact, not many of them have come through to the market. They were just announcements and releases and pilot line or R&D modules that we saw. So when reviewing the modules for our award in 2020, it was actually, in fact, what was inside the module that our modules jury really saw as a differentiator and something worth recognizing in the award category. Let's have a look at the finalists who did make it through to the shortlist in the modules award category. The Jinko Solar Tiger series is a tiling module or uses the tiling technology. Longi Solar HIMO 5 are gallium doped wafers going into mono cells, and also a smart soldering technique, these triangular ribbons. We'll be learning a little bit more about that very shortly. From REC, the Alpha module series, which is a heterojunction module using the Meyer-Burger, the quite mature Meyer-Burger technology behind that, and also SmartWire, so a bus barless cell interconnection. Ryzen Energy had two modules that made it through onto the shortlist, were finalists last year. That is the Titan, and that was one of the large format modules that I was speaking about, using M12 wafer, that's the 210 millimeter wafer size. Ryzen again with the Ziga modules, which is actually made in China heterojunction, which is a very interesting trend into the market. We'll see if and when and how that module production scales and what impact that will make. And then rounding out our finalists in 2020 was Suntech with their Ultra V or Ultra 5, I'm not quite sure, but what I am sure is that it's a large format module. And there's a very strong focus from Suntech with that module series on durability. But now, without further ado, our winner for 2020 in the modules category, as selected by our independent jury, was Jinko Solar with the Tiger series. We'll have a representative from Jinko to take us through that technology very shortly. But representing our jury today is the Director of Business Development, EMEA and APAC for Clean Energy Associates, Annika Giller. The other jurors were Jay Lin and Pierre Verlinden. Jay is the Chief Consultant with PV Guider. Pierre is the Managing Director of AMROC and very much an industry veteran, formerly the Chief Scientist for Trina Solar. But Annika, welcome today. Thank you so much for representing our jury. Now, I did mention we do have a winner, that's the Jinko Solar Tiger, but Longi's HIMO 5 was also very highly regarded by Jay, Pierre, and yourself. Why was it that you selected the HIMO 5 as worthy of being highly recommended in the Modules Award in 2020?
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Yes, so I mean, you know, Longi's module was highly recommended by the jury because I would say of two reasons. And it was first that gallium-doped P-type wafers that deliver the zero LID and also help to reduce the LETAD. However, you know, gallium doping technology is nothing new, so not super innovative from this perspective. And it's available to the entire industry now, which is good news overall. Second, what was interesting was, you know, what they call the smart soldering, which is, you know, this triangular ribbon that's designed to reflect more light on the cell surface and thus boosting efficiencies above 21%. However, we've also discussed a little bit the challenge in production with regards to soldering and positioning of the triangular ribbon.
Okay, thank you, Annika. So a lot of promise with the HIMO 5 series, some questions about throughput and how this smart soldering will make it into the market. What was judged as being a technology that looks extremely promising indeed is the tiling module technology, which is deployed in the Jinko Solar Tiger series. And representing Jinko Solar on today's award ceremony is the head of the R&D department at Jinko Solar. That's Thomas Hual, from who heads up the R&D. So from a technology standpoint, from the technologists, the people in the R&D labs, Thomas, if you could join our ceremony today, because we would like to ask some questions to you, and in fact to all of our attendees. I really encourage you to send through your questions if you have any questions about tiling technology or questions about module technology from Clean Energy Associates. I'm sure Annika would love to answer some questions without notice. But first of all, Annika, while we have Thomas joining us, what really made the Tiger stand out in the jury discussions that you took part in?
Yes, so I mean, obviously we had that privilege to review all of those really exciting entries that are showcasing technology advancements for the industry and the trends towards, as you said, Jonathan, high power modules that help to reduce CapEx, and ultimately, you know, LCE is crucial, and the industry definitely pushes forwards, you know, those innovative technology changes such as larger wafers, dense technologies, and N-type. And you know, the Tiger module that clearly impressed, you know, each jury member because of basically 3 reasons. First of all, it is based on this innovative and very clever tiling ribbon technology that reduces the gap between the cells, and no one else is doing it. It's only Jinko. And this technology can also be applied to other future technologies, to all sorts of different cells, which is great. Secondly, it produces a really black and uniform model with, you know, great aesthetics, and that is also important for some markets. And finally, you know, most important as always, this results in very high efficiencies above 21%. Great. You know, one of the concerns, just to mention that also, in particular at CA from a quality standpoint, is that tiling technology is a challenge. It is difficult. You know, Jinko is the only one doing it, and remains a challenge in mass production. However, what we can definitely award here is that great innovation made in China.
Yeah, indeed, and that is worth recognizing, still very much the powerhouse of the PV production world when it comes to cells and modules. Thomas, as a technologist, bringing you into the discussion now, you guys are often the kind of heroes in the background of the PV industry. So what does tiling technology and Jinko's development of tiling, what does it mean for you to have that technology recognized today as a PV Magazine award winner for 2020? Ooh, unmute.
Okay.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Thomas.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Annika. Good day and good evening for everyone. It's our honor to be selected by the award. You know, the price of the pure module have been reduced like 90% in the last 10 years. And the technology development is the key to drive down the cost of modules. Rather than now, the PV modules has maybe almost the cheapest energy in many places. We believe that the pure energy can be still be further down, and the technology will become more and more important. So, the number one of PV manufacturer, Jinko Solar have been pursuing successes in PV industries, not only in shipment but also in quality and R&D. Having this award, I think it means that our work have been done, have been rewarded, and it also drives us to future success and leadership in the PV industry.
That's good. Good to hear that it's providing some motivation. Annika, you mentioned that Jinko Solar is the only module manufacturer that is pursuing this tiling technology kind of pathway. We know that there are a number of approaches to high density module formats. Paving is one of them, shingling is another. They are different, but they are very much targeting the same thing. I'll pass the floor over to you to ask some questions of Thomas. And I do encourage anyone who's attending, if you have any questions about tiling technology, please don't hesitate to send them through. But at this stage, Annika, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yes, one interesting question for you, Thomas, regarding this dense interconnection technologies, as we pointed out and highly honored, Jinko has chosen tiling over paving, while paving is followed by the other major suppliers. And tiling has that small area efficiency advantage, but it's also on the other side more challenging to implement in mass production. Is this extra efficiency edge worth the additional trouble?
I think it was, because the final target of the PV industry R&D is to pursuing high efficiency and low cost, especially for the high efficiency for our technical guys. And we know when we start to choose the tiling technology, we have done a lot of reviews. We know that the challenging of the processing is and we have done a lot of work. Nowadays, the yield in the production and also the mechanical load test, the mechanical load of the tiling technology is no difference to half cell modules. And regarding the question one, which is the tiling technology at the first beginning, we believe that the tiling technology, even though it has some challenge in the processing, but it also have less risk in the field due to the shortcut like that.
Yeah, okay, interesting. So in terms of durability, the tiling, as you said, mechanical load is equivalent to just a regular half-cut cell module. Annika, I understand you have a question also when it comes to cell technology.
Exactly. We've heard happily, Jinko has been making some announcement on N-type TOPCon, efficiency records. Can we expect TOPCon capacity announcement in the multi-gigawatt range to match the PERC growth?
Yeah. Comparing to the module technology, there are more options for cell technology like TOPCon and HJT and other options. We have done some work on TOPCon in the last 3 years, and we believe that the cell efficiency in our pipeline is around 24.5 at the moment, and nowadays the cost for TOPCon is very close to 12 PERC cells, and our target is to make the cost the same to compare to TOPCon in 2021.
Okay, so working on driving down the cost, which of course is always important in PV. I always remember the line from Exawatt we heard from Alex Barros just earlier before, that high efficiency is great, but it has to be simultaneously achieved at competitive costs. Well, at this stage, we have run out of time for our modules category of the award. Thank you very much, Annika Giller. Thank you to Pierre Verlinden and Jay Lin, our other modules jurors. Thomas, thank you very much for attending our ceremony today and representing Jinko Solar. And of course, a huge congratulations to Jinko Solar for being the 2020 modules winner for the PV Magazine 2020 annual awards with the Jinko Solar Tiger module series. I'm sure we'll see more of them in the market this year in 2021. Well, moving on with our awards ceremony, the next section we have, the next category we have is looking beyond the module, beyond the cell, to the balance of system. Very important, not only in terms of costs and efficiency and power output, as we've been talking about today, but also important when it comes to deployment, speed of deployment, efficiency of deployment, and our winner in 2020 very much reflects this value. Mark Hutchins, you're the man in charge of our Balance of Systems Award category, so I'll pass the floor over to you, mate.
Thanks very much, Jonathan, and congratulations as well to Jinko Solar. And yes, next up is the Balance of Systems category, where we have cast a pretty wide net to include more or less any PV array component that is not a module or an inverter. Among this year's entries, we see a strong push for differentiation between tracker manufacturers, with different players highlighting aspects such as extreme weather resilience, both in terms of wind and hail, and machine learning algorithms to avoid shading, and more. We also see some novel approaches to power plant monitoring and energy management, incorporating weather forecasting and other factors, with the aim of making solar power more manageable and dispatchable, and ultimately allowing more of it onto the grid. But it is cost, of course, that is still the leading concern. BOS suppliers are in many ways in a race to keep up with the cost reductions achieved in the module segment, not wanting to see their share in overall systems costs increase. And that focus on cost optimization was evident throughout this year's submissions, whether through simplifying installation and shipping processes, or adding more features going in a way in the opposite direction. On our independent jury for the Balance of Systems category, we had Nicolas Choleur, partner with engineering consultants Everose, and we had Beth Kapanis, who is the director of solar energy at RES Americas over in the US. And the jury firstly named 3 finalists from among this year's entries. These are the Reuniwatt Instacast, cloud monitoring and yield forecasting software, the 5B Maverick, prefabricated movable racking solution, and the PV Pallet, a dedicated shipping solution for PV modules. And the winner is the 5B Maverick. And we'll hear from the winners in just a moment. Representing the jury, though, we have Nicolas Choleur, a partner with Everose. Nicolas, so overall, what were the jurors' thoughts on this year's set of entries?
Hi, Mark. Well, good morning, good afternoon to everybody. First of all, thank you for inviting me and us, Everose, to participate. And I have to say, it was quite a good exercise, very interesting and enriching, and was a tough decision to make, because as you perfectly mentioned, BOS, we're covering a wide variety of topics and solutions. So I have to say that all the participants proposed very interesting solutions. In terms of tracking, we see, there's a trend of development of trackers, and I think trackers will continue to have an important share, depending on the conditions of the project. But we had also several suggestions of systems for fixed tilt, either on the ground or rooftop. In terms of monitoring, you mentioned that. There were also different approaches and focusing on different stuff. We had module level monitoring, for instance. It is still under development. Was quite interesting. We had one software. I mean, we are talking about balance of system. Proper assessment of the future yield is always a good thing, and it can be tricky, in particular with all development we see. In that case, there was a focus on bifacial. Bifacial is becoming, well, in some markets mainstream, and it's still a bit tricky to assess the exact future performance of the system. So yeah, we had to make a decision. There's only one winner, and so maybe about the finalist, you mentioned. It also reflects the variety of solutions. So I think the pallet, PV pallet solution was quite interesting and offering a solution to reuse packaging. I think, well, I know there's right after us, I think something about sustainability, but still to mention a little bit, I think it's very much in the spirit of this industry. We are trying to be double green, right? It's not producing green electrons, but all the rest around it. And if you put a lot of gray energy into your system, in the end, it's not really future-proof. Revenue what? Well, I've had the privilege to work on a few solutions some years ago, and they are continuing with the development, and it's yeah, really smart, and in particular, really improving the efficiency of systems when you need very short-term management of your asset. And in the end, well, the winner was, as you mentioned, this super racking solution, fixed tilt. I really love that because I see it as a low-tech approach, and don't misunderstand me. I think it's very good, it's very positive to come with a simple, easy solution. Requires a lot of hours of engineering and very smart approach. So yes, basically, again, it was a tough call, and we favored this approach because I think it's, as you mentioned, PV is growing, but we have to grow even faster if we want to tackle climate change. And this kind of very easy to industrialize and to implement solution, I think, are going in the right direction.
Thank you very much, Nicolas, for a great overview there. And well, now it is my pleasure to introduce Chris McGrath, CEO of 5B, joining us today from Australia. We do hope to have a couple of minutes for questions from our audience today, so please do send in your questions for Chris via the live chat function. Chris, great to have you with us today. First of all, what does it mean to you and to 5B to be selected as winner of the PV Magazine Award?
Thank you, Mark, and I gather I'm meant to show the award that we've just won, fresh from the post. It's a huge honour to be winning this award. Balance of system space is obviously our kind of heart and soul of the industry where we work, and as Nicolas was talking about, we really see it as kind of the critical frontier of making solar power as lowest cost, fastest, and most accessible as it can be, which is really needed to continue to accelerate the uptake. We're really picking up off decades of work that's been done in the module PV space in making solar modules themselves so low cost as they are now, and really trying to drive that to new frontiers. It's also a really exciting time for us to be winning this award. We have been developing the technology in our business from the ground up for just over 7 years now, and this year marks the year that we're growing into global markets from our home base here in Australia. So it's a time that we're reflecting on where we've come from and where we're going, and winning an award such as this is really exciting kind of recognition of where we are.
Okay, thanks very much, Chris. Nicolas, I will hand over to you for a moment. What questions does the 5B Maverick raise for you and Beth as our award jurors?
Well, I think it's a very smart question, very generic, but I'm just curious. Chris, could you tell us what was the initial thought you had when you decided to go for this kind of racking system? And for instance, we see a lot of developments in trackers or other kind of moving solution. This one is definitely a absolute fixed tilt, but yeah. So why selecting this approach?
Thanks for the question. I actually was trying to guess what you might ask, and that was exactly what I thought you might. The question, I guess, about where the idea came from, for us, it was a real kind of convergence of a couple of different concepts. We'd been working on ways to make the structure lower cost and less material in it, less wind loading on the array to rip out material and components from that. And really trying to floor that as much as we can. And we'd also been really kind of thinking about how to redefine the process, both from a highest order kind of supply chain and delivery chain kind of process from start to finish, but also the site environment is obviously one that anyone who's worked on site environments would well know is complex, is challenging, it's hard to fix things, and really trying to develop a way to shift as much of that from the site into the factory as possible. There's been various approaches towards prefab in the past, but really it's the kind of the convergence of the east-west topology and the ability to turn that into a folding structure, which is really kind of structurally efficient, but also spatially dense, which then allows us to do prefab really well. And then that's now driving a whole lot of kind of further outcomes than I'd say we ever really expected.
Okay, interesting. And another question is precisely, you mentioned that east-west configuration allows you to have very dense system, so a high energy density. Well, I've never been to Australia, but land is not an issue. That's a small question we would tackle here in Europe. So same question. You're going global. So what is your key market in the future?
Yeah, it's an interesting observation. Australia's obviously a very big country with a lot of space. We I'd say realised the spatial efficiencies of our solution probably later in our development, as in maybe kind of two years or so ago. Primarily, we were trying to drive lowest cost and fastest way to deploy solar. And the spatial efficiency in Australia is not something that's recognised as much. But certainly as we've started to grow into testing international markets, it's something that's recognised far more frequently. But also I think now we're starting to see as DC coupled storage allowing really high DC ratios starts to become a more and more kind of common concept, and we're going to see more and more of that as those cost curves kind of converge. That in most applications into that kind of future trend, space around good connection points will actually start to become more and more constrained, even in countries like Australia. So when we think through 200, 300, 400 gigawatt per annum solar build scenarios, in everywhere in the world, space becomes part of the issue. So I think it's going to become a globally kind of relevant part of our value proposition. We've just deployed you spoke about global markets. We've just deployed our first project internationally in Panama with our partners AES, who joined our business as investors and strategic partners during our investment round midway through last year. And we're very close to securing first projects in Chile and in the US. So we'll be entering the Chilean and the US market this year. And there's a few other really interesting international markets that are very kind of top of the list as well. So we're trying to take a fairly methodical and ordered approach to it, but also getting some really exciting interest really from all over the world at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Well, Mark, I wonder maybe we have questions from the audience.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris and Nicholas. So Chris, and I believe currently you have around 30 megawatts installed on the Maverick solution. How have the findings been from this initial round of installations?
Yeah, that's right. We're right on the cusp of finishing deployment of our largest project to date, which is a 12 megawatt project, and that takes us to 30 megawatts installed, and now we have more under production. I'd say that the findings to date on our tech and our existing projects have been really positive. Really good operating record across the projects. I'd say that one of our early investors was very, very right in telling us to hurry up and release our product. It was perfectly ready. As perfectionists, we were continuing to kind of drive continual improvement and perfecting the product before we launched it in middle of 2017. So I think we've struck a really good balance between having a mature enough product to then release to the market and start to build projects, but also then getting that feedback loop from projects to continue to improve the product. We've got our first big kind of product generation shift coming in a few months, and then a second one planned later this year, which is still going to look very much as the same as our current Maverick solution, but certainly driving much better kind of cost reductions and a few kind of value-added features. One of the big things we're working on at the moment with our different module partners is accommodating the kind of the race to the top in the module sizes getting larger and larger, as we heard about in the last session. Which is something that really benefits us ultimately with a prefab solution. We can accommodate these larger modules more easily than in-field construction techniques. but it still requires a tweak and a change and accommodation within our design. So exciting new trend to be working on as well.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Chris, and I think that will be about all we've got time for on the balance of systems side. So thanks very much, and congratulations again to Chris McGrath and 5D, and thanks also to Nicholas and all of our expert jurors. And I will now hand back over to Jonathan, who I believe has the Sustainability Award coming up next.
I do. Thank you very much, Mark. Congratulations again to 5B for taking out our BOS category with their Maverick mounting structure. I see Jenny Chase there. She is going to be our jury representative in the sustainability category. Jenny, thank you for your time today. Jenny heads up the solar analysis a group at Bloomberg NEF. But we are talking sustainability, so it's a part of PV Magazine's Up initiative. That's why we are kind of looking to drive a discussion about sustainability in solar. And Jenny, while you're here, you're frequently the smartest woman in the room. Why do you think, well, within solar in any case, why do you think that sustainability is kind of important in the PV industry? That's kind of part one of my question. And then second, how much are we genuinely seeing about sustainable practices, or is deployment really, deployment and scale really the focus?
It's great to be here, Jonathan. Thank you. And I am the smartest woman in the room because I'm the only person in the literal room and have been for about 9 months. But I think that sustainability is important in everything. And I'm really cautious about making the point, about making any kind of point that could be interpreted as it's more important in photovoltaics than anything else. Because ultimately, photovoltaics is pretty sustainable compared with business as usual. And I honestly I don't want concerns about sustainability to slow down the solar industry. But the good thing is it doesn't have to. Over the last decade, sustainability has meant getting modules more efficient, using less materials, better recycling of tetrachlorides so we can make silicon using less energy and less raw materials. And all that is sustainability. But in this award specifically, we were looking for firms that went above and beyond that and actually introduce sustainability directly into their operations.
Yeah, okay, and we will be hearing from our award winner about sustainability in their operations in just a few moments, but there are a few issues like all around sustainability. It's not just sustainable production, there's also circular economy, green finance, ESG values. There's this feeling, well, I'm at least getting this feeling that we're reaching kind of a tipping point in terms of the acknowledgement of sustainability, not only within solar, but also within the wider economy. What's your impression in terms of, you know, we're right at the start of 2021. Is there building momentum behind this, Jenny?
I think there is. And I think that as analysts, we've got to be a little bit careful about separating greenwash from actual sustainability, because, you know, financial firms, they have metrics, but those metrics, while well meant, sometimes don't correspond to the real world. So, but I think there is increasing concern, and I think organizations like PV Magazine trying to look into what this actually means and what the real result is good. So sustainability is definitely a thing that we all should be looking at more, and we should be applying the same standards to photovoltaics that we apply to other industries.
Okay, well, excellent. Let's look a little bit more closely at our 2020 Sustainability Award finalists. Just 2 companies made the shortlist this year. They are Energetica Industries and Recycle PV Solar. To tell you a little bit about Recycle PV, they're a US-based startup collaborating with Europe's PV Cycle, which many of you might already know, to establish PV recycling and circular economy infrastructure in the United States. The company's developed processes that don't use water or chemicals in recycling, and that creates no dust and very low noise emissions. After separation, Recycle PV says that the materials are collected and shipped to various manufacturing plants to be used for new wiring, plastic wheels, fiberglass, building materials and also raw materials that can be fed back into new solar panel production. Using the new technology, Recycle PV says that it aims to reduce manufacturing costs by 50%. But there can only be one winner, and I think it might be obvious by now. The winner is Energetic Industries GmbH down in Austria, and we have a representative from Energetica Industries joining us today in our awards ceremony. I should also acknowledge our absent jurors. Jenny wasn't alone in our jury for the Sustainability Award, and thanks also to Nancy Gillis, the CEO of the Green Electronics Council, EPAT, bringing in a new kind of sustainability certificate scheme, particularly in the US market. And Nancy Edwards, principal at Clean Power Marketing Group. Well, joining us from Energetic Industries is Renee Battistuti, joining us from Austria today. Renee, congratulations on picking up the 2020 PV Magazine Sustainability Award. First of all, from me, you're producing solar modules in Austria, and you've taken a number of different measures to reduce the carbon footprint to make your modules as green as possible. What would you say would be the measure that you've taken that's really had the biggest impact when it comes to sustainability?
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan, very much. We are very proud to have this prize in hand, and I have to say that the biggest measures what we take for our factory was to have our own hydro water power plant, and combined with the PV system to cover all the energy demand of the plant of more than 2.7 megawatts, what is right now completely covering our energy demand during the days. And for the night, we have the hydro power station just a few meters behind our factory, which is directly feeding into our industrial grid here on the area, and covering more or less the energy demands during the night, and on days where the clouds are too heavy that the PV system cannot cover all the load from the factory. Beside this, one of the biggest impacts where we are very proud of is our packing system, which is completely made from recyclable materials, and which is tremendously reducing the waste impact on the sites where the panels are installed.
Yeah, okay. Packaging's perhaps something we don't look at in so much detail within PV, and perhaps we should when it comes to sustainability. On-site hydro capacity is also pretty handy when you're trying to produce PV modules in a sustainable way and with low emissions. Jenny, during your jury deliberations, I'm sure some other questions came up. I'll pass over to you to put some questions to Renee.
Great. So, Renee, we were reading this and we thought it's fantastic that Energetica has done all this to reduce the emissions and the impact of its own operations, and even thinking about things like transporting all the materials by train instead of by truck. What measures are you taking in your purchasing of raw materials? Is there a way you can buy cleaner manufactured cells?
Yeah, first of all, we are right now working on a low carbon footprint solar cell to reduce impact also there, together with some solar cell manufacturers. But also in the other material supplies, we are building up an ecosystem around us where we can reduce transportation and carbon dioxide impact through energy supply of renewable energy sources. So this means, for instance, backsheet materials, EVA foils, other materials around the module production.
Great. And what made you think, what I'm going to do with my life is establish solar module manufacturing in Austria?
So, first of all, I'm infected with the virus of PV since more than 25 years. So I'm in this field for 25 years now with Energetica. And And I started the first module production here in Austria, which was just a small one in the year 2004. So now the clear step for us going forward was to establish a new factory, which is situated also, of course, in Austria, because I am an Austrian and I like Austria, and we have a very clean energy around here, so environment is good. And we had the chance to see to get the land area where we had a railway station, and that's also very important for our future developments, to have their own railway on site that we can transport without carbon dioxide to our factory and from our factory through whole Europe. That was one of the things where I saw a big chance for us to make a bigger factory and to start with a low carbon dioxide factory with zero emissions in order to be prepared if there are coming carbon dioxide taxes around Europe, and the competitiveness of Far East producers is probably impacted a little bit.
And what are the biggest challenges you faced in setting up this big clean factory?
The biggest challenge was to coordinate the train and railway schedules to get all the materials here on site, with which is not as dynamic as our PV industry, because the railway has very strict schedules and they are not so flexible. So to combine that with all the engineers on site waiting on the machineries and on the materials for the move-in, that was one of the biggest challenges which we faced, because of course it was completely new experience for our engineers here in the factory. And but it was nice to see the train coming with all the machineries on it, and was a nice experience for me to have no carbon dioxide even in the machinery transportation to our factory.
Wow, that is something, quite a story, seeing the production equipment rolling in on the local train network. Renee, you know, there's nothing easy about module making as a business. I remember Jenny telling this to me in Shanghai a few years ago. In Europe, there are more challenges still, and particularly if we extend it out to cell production as well, which there really isn't terribly much of in Europe at present. Do you think the value proposition of being sustainable, of being near zero carbon modules, are you anticipating that will create some pull from your customers, that there will be installers who will be willing to perhaps pay a premium for low carbon modules?
So from our experience now, there are a lot of customers looking to the carbon footprint of the panels. It's not just France, which has some tenders regarding low carbon footprints. It's also other customers around Europe, which are very convinced that the way we are going with trying to reduce emissions as much as possible is the right way. And they follow us not because we are a European manufacturer, but we have a philosophy. We are driving with whole electric cars to our customers if needed, and we have a complete zero carbon factory. Even we are discussing with some customers by receiving our panels in containers on train, so going by railway already, which we are in preparation right now. So to reduce even their carbon footprint impact by purchasing modules. So there are a lot of customers around Europe, and they care. They start caring more and more. And I think it's a very important point, because our industry has a big target altogether to reduce carbon dioxide worldwide. And these are small steps which can be taken from everybody, not just from huge companies.
Okay, excellent. Well, it's very nice to recognize a not so huge company in our 2020 awards. Congratulations to Energetica Industries. We have a comment from one of our attendees saying that Energetica are heroes producing modules in Europe, which is a
Thank
nice
you very much.
sentiment. Thank you very
proud.
much. Rene Batastucci is the CEO of Energetica Industries in Austria. Jenny Chase, who leads up the solar analysis service with Bloomberg NEF. Thank you both very much for your time. Well, we just have 2 award categories left to go today. Thank you very much for attending. And I still see we have hundreds of people joining us online for the ceremony, which is really encouraging to see. Next up is battery storage, the BESS category, because PV Magazine is not just about solar modules, despite the name. Storage, of course, is playing an increasingly important part in our industry, firming the solar energy that we are producing on rooftops and also free fields throughout the electricity network. Marianne Valloon, you're going to be leading our BESS category for today, so I'll pass the floor over to you.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, the solar industry couldn't really live and make the best out of it without the batteries anymore. And so we had the battery energy storage system category introduced this year. We saw 14 entries coming from France, from Germany, from Italy, but also, of course, from storage system powerhouse China. And in these entries, we saw one big trend, and that was identifiable throughout pretty much every single entry, and that was a modular design approach. All these batteries could be stacked together quite easily to increase capacity, to increase power, and of course meet varying consumer demands and consumer profiles. And this was not just the case in CNI or utility scale systems, but also in residential applications. And some might just need, a 1 kilowatt-hour battery, and others with a bigger family and higher loads might need a 10 kilowatt-hour battery, or those who like to bridge prolonged outages. There are many applications and many reasons why one would need to increase capacity. And another terms, and in terms of chemistries, we also saw that lithium-ion batteries dominated the market, continue to dominate the market. The changes here are within lithium-ion. We see lithium iron phosphate batteries penetrating the market. New chemistries with varying degrees of nickel and manganese are seeing the market. And we had also one not so common chemistry, a lithium metal polymer battery entering the market, or entering our awards. But yeah, for now, for this year, lithium ion still dominates not just our awards, but I think this is also reflective of what's happening in the wider market. So our jury to determine which was the best system consists of Julian Jansen. He's the head of energy storage at IHS Markit, the market research and analysis company that you all probably are very familiar with. We had Rory McCarthy, principal analyst at energy storage or of energy storage at Wood Mackenzie. I'm sure you are also following their reporting and analysis throughout the year, and definitely here on PV Magazine. We had Chris Wright, Director of Energy Storage from Clean Energy Associates, a colleague of Annika Giller that you've seen earlier. And our finalists were Fluence's 6th generation technology stack. It's a quite versatile a system where different batteries can be integrated, and it lives off a quite advanced software system that can meet different profiles of customers to supply all the types of energy or types of services that are needed. We had Blue Solutions, Blue Storage LMP 250 and 400. LMP, that is the lithium metal polymer system that we saw. It's quite innovative and new to the market. Very interesting entry there. We had BYD's battery box. That is a residential system that could be scaled to be quite interesting for the CNI market as well, to 900 kilowatt hours. I saw You just stack the bits together. Also a very versatile system. And we had the Jura barrel, which is, as it says, it's a barrel, but it doesn't contain any oil or anything but a battery, and it can meet on and off-grid demands, and also you can connect many barrels together to meet higher loads or higher demands. And joining us from the jury today is Julian Jansen from IHS Markit. Hello, Julian.
Hi, Marianne. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. And our winner is the Jura barrel. That's what it looks like. And as I said, it can meet on-grid and off-grid demands. It can be powered with a single phase, or it can put out single phase power, or if you combine 3 or 6, you can have 3-phase power. The barrel itself, I think, is always 5 kWh in capacity, but you can have it with different power levels. Julian, what convinced you and the jury of this entry?
Yeah, we as the jury really felt that the Jura barrel provided quite a unique proposition. You mentioned already that, in the energy storage industry at the moment, we're seeing a lot of modular designs in very fairly established markets. So there's a lot of incremental innovations, but no real step change. And I think what really convinced us around the Jura barrel is that it's directed at a very different market, in the sense that it's looking at the off-grid market, helping to electrify remote communities, especially also in developing countries. And we really felt that that was a market segment that has been often overlooked. And it's quite nice to see a solution and some innovation happening in a space that certainly offers a lot of opportunity, but also is a segment that we need to address if we want to advance the sustainability agenda. So really for us, what stood out was that the Jura barrel was a self-contained, fully integrated system, and that targets that off-grid electrification segment in remote locations, developing countries, and so on. And on top of the kind of particular unique design features, the robust design, the plug-and-play nature, I think what ultimately really convinced us about this wasn't just the hardware aspect of it, and of course it does look quite striking in this kind of barrel format, but really what convinced us was that this design and hardware feature was paired with remote monitoring, the combination with a pay-and-go system and solution for those locations. And we felt that that creates quite a unique and compelling innovation to make a difference in segments that are often overlooked.
All right. And we'll be having on this program now Matteo Villa, the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Europe and MENA region at Jura. Thank you, Matteo, for joining us this morning, and congratulations for winning the award.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Jura is very happy to receive this award. Be honest, this was a very wonderful surprise, and thank you very much. We are very happy. We are very happy. That's true. We are covering a special segment of the market. Yes, the off-grid and hybrid. That is a bit different compared, let's say, the storage in Europe and US, where everything is much more easy, because in the off-grid, let me say, you have no second chance when you are going to install something in the middle of nowhere.
All right, thank you, Matteo. Julian, so the audience, dear viewers, please do forward your questions through the control panel, as I was telling you earlier, and we'll be forwarding these questions to Matteo or Julian for that matter. But we'll kick off with you, Julian. I know that you have some questions left from the deliberations for Matteo.
Absolutely, and I think, well, a lot of the hardware elements were very clear to us and were very easy to understood. One big question that kind of came us is really how would you overcome the challenges with regards to training and qualifications of local installers or even local maintenance? Because we've seen that often a challenge, especially in developing economies, where the local skill set might just not be there to support quite complex technological innovations in those segments.
Well, this is a very important question, because in this type of segment of the market, the technology is important, but it's not everything. The most important thing is to solve the problem during the commissioning. Because if you are going to install something, I don't know, in the northeast of Nigeria, you are considering the total CapEx of installation, you can go back 2 times or 3 times. Then, aside of the technologies, that's why we develop, and let's say, the JUA commissioning training. Why? Because last year, unfortunately, with the COVID experience around the world, we spent a lot of time to develop the training program. Now we have a lot of materials, we have a lot of videos. And just to give you an example, in April, when the world was frozen, let's say, we was able to install, for example, a few telco towers in the middle of the desert in Libya without to be present, because now using the technology, the IoT technologies, also WhatsApp, our video and our process, we are able to, let's say, to support the local installers in the installation, avoiding the typical problems that the installers in Africa or also in Middle East as about how to connect the batteries to the inverters to everything, because everything is coming already done. Then there are three main, let's say, topics for us. The first time is the solidity of the technologies. In fact, we are providing 10 years warranties because it's done with Tier 1 materials. The second one is the use of materials, video, PowerPoints, and let's say, JuaCare support to support the installer. And the last one is the software. We develop internally our main board, our software. Then we are able to connect our barrel to the cloud, and then we can every 2 seconds see what happened. Because the difference sometimes compared to the other system is that we are receiving the data from the barrel every 2 seconds, not every 15 minutes. Then we can prevent and see every time what happened. Also because we need to consider the local environmental problems, you know, the stability of the grid in Nigeria, or some other problem in terms of humidities, other problem that you can find in Africa. These three mixed together provide us the solidity and the happiness to provide something that is working. Because if you are installing a solar barrel, and we are specialized, for example, in hospitals, you can fail, because if the system fails, someone will die. Then we need to be sure that everything is done with the right process, and also later with the right O&M plan. That is not very huge, but you need to every time to see if your system is working, remove the problems from the barrels, keep the filter clean. So, and another important point is the logistics. If we are shipping, I don't know, 2 systems to on some island and Comoros, so the cost of shipment sometimes is much more high than the technologies. Then technology is important, but all the other steps must be considered to be successful in the installations.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's a really important point that you raised there. Maybe just one quick follow-on question, if I'm okay to ask this, Marianne, because I think it does relate to some of the elements you mentioned there on the shipping side. You know, what distribution channels do you use? Because I mean, you're still a fairly young company. How do you think you can achieve scale? Because you can't go and sell every single system across the continent of Africa, right? So what distribution channels are you aiming to be using to achieve scale and to grow as a company?
So JUA has 3 main, let's say, structures to deploy our technologies. The first one now, after 7 years, and also the track record of the member of the teams, we established a lot of partnership with local installers and APC. Country by country, we are selecting 1 main players that know very well the country and satisfy our requirement. Then more or less, we are working in partnership with the installer and APCs. This is 1 main, let's say, sector. The second one, we are working with a lot of charities, Doctor for Africa, QAM, APSI, a lot of strategy from Middle East, because a member of our shareholder is coming from Middle East, and we are working a lot with them. Does it mean we are not just selling the materials? Every time we are creating a project with someone else, then we are sure that everything is in place, and we will succeed in installation. These are the 2 main things. The last segment, we are making some partnership with a panel manufacturer or someone that has not the technology about hybrid and want just to deploy the panels, and we can have, let's say, a joint venture, especially for the European market and US market. In Africa and Middle East, we are working with others installers, yes, because it's very important to have someone on ground that is taking care about the commissioning in the right way.
Right. Thank you, Matteo, for this insight and this truly inspiring and interesting project and product, and all the best to you and Jua for bringing this product to scale and shipping it around the world. And thank you also to you, Julian, for joining us today and bringing your questions to Matteo. We are on a tight schedule, and we will be continuing with the publisher's pick, where our Jonathan Gifford will be interviewing our Egad Guras, our publisher for this year's publisher's pick. Isn't that right, Jonathan?
That is. Thank you, Marian. Thanks also, Julian and Matteo. Congratulations to Jua. Certainly a better barrel than a barrel of oil. I think we can all agree within the PV industry. I see Egad K. Guras, the publisher of PV Magazine, joining us this morning. Well, this morning European time, but of course we've had attendees from right around the world. Hello, Egad, and thanks for joining this final section of our PV Magazine 2020 Awards ceremony. This is the publisher's pick. You are very much in the driving seat of this category of award. Can you take us through, first of all, what's your thinking behind the publisher's pick? What are you really looking to recognize in this award category?
Thank you, Jonathan. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you around the world. And also congratulations to Jua for the BESS award. And yeah, the thinking about the publisher's pick is to take a step back, take a holistic view, and see what company in the solar industry is really helping lower PV LCOE, and which companies helping accelerate the clean energy transition. So we look at the product submitted, but also the overall picture and what the company's track record is.
Okay, well, and you mentioned lowering LCOE. Of course, there's many different ways to do this. And right across the 115 award entries that we had in 2020, as Marian revealed right at the front, the majority, or not the majority, but the largest component of award entries did come from China. It is very much the powerhouse of the PV production industry, modules and power electronics. Take me through your selection for 2020 as our winner, Egad.
Okay, Jonathan. So taking the holistic view, we have a manufacturer who has a track record of over 10 years, is headquartered in one of the most dynamic places I've come across in the world, Shenzhen in Guangdong province. And Shenzhen has been a place where you export goods around the world, and that's how Growat started. And they focused on foreign markets and gained big market shares in places like, which you know, Jonathan, Australia and Europe and other places. And they shipped a total of 1 million inverters when I was there, and in 2019. And they are certainly doing a lot, with 10% of their annual revenues is devoted to R&D. So they're doing a lot to perfect solar technology and further lower solar LCOE. And the particular product they submitted, Marian had mentioned this in the inverter category, is a hybrid inverter, the Grow Home Inverter series, ranging from 2.5 kilowatts to 6 kilowatts, single phase, lightweight, 10.8 kilogram inverter. And it forms the heart of their Grow Home residential solution, which really helps to increase the self-consumption rate, which is so critical.
Okay, and you in fact headed to Shenzhen before the kind of COVID global pandemic really kept us all at home. You had the pleasure of heading down to Shenzhen to visit Growat in person.
Yeah, so as has been tradition at PV Magazine for the publisher, in December I go to China to meet with various manufacturers, cutting-edge manufacturers, and my last trip was in December 2019. Unfortunately, last month would have been difficult. I would have had to be quarantined for 2 weeks. So unfortunately it didn't work, but I look forward to my next trip. And in December 2019, so just over a year ago, I met Growat, and their founder, chairman, and president, David Ding. And it was very impressive. They talked about their new factory, a 6 gigawatt factory in Guangdong. Their factory back then was only 4 gigawatts. So it was great to be there and meet with the Growatt team.
Okay, and representing Growatt, we do have one of the co-founders of this very innovative company. As Eckhard said, over a 10-year history. I'm really pleased to have Growatt VP and co-founder Frank Chow joining us this morning from China. Frank, welcome to our award ceremony. Thank you so much for joining us. And congratulations for being selected, Growatt, and your whole team being recognized with the 2020 Publishers Pick Award. What does it mean to you guys to be recognized in this way?
It's really my honor and our company's honor to know this news. Very happy.
Okay,
thank
well,
you very much.
Well, it's our pleasure, and thank you again for joining. As Eckhard mentioned, it was the Growatt Grow Home residential solution that was selected. Eckhard, I understand you've got some questions about the Grow Home system itself.
Sure do. Frank, hello. And walk us through how your Grow Home residential solution can achieve such a high self-consumption rate. I know we focused on a particular system. I think it was a 4 kilowatt rooftop system with 13 kilowatt hours of battery storage, and you achieved a self-consumption rate of 94%. So how does Growatt do this?
Yeah, take example as a 4 kilowatt rooftop PV system roughly generated 20 kilowatt hour a day. For most customers, normally they would be out of work during daytime, so the PV self-consumption rate will really only reach around 24% in this case. Surplus solar power will either be wasted or export to the grid. However, our Grow Home residential solution, the surplus solar power can be stored in the battery system for later use at night. Even when the battery are fully charged, our smart energy solution will be activated, and extra solar power could be stored in other form or used to run other electrical appliance as stated by customers. For example, our Grow Boost solution could be activated for water heating, and the surplus solar energy could be reserved in the form of thermal energy for customer use. In this scenario, at least 19 kilowatt hour solar energy power can be used, and the PV self-consumption rate could be reached around 94%, significantly cut the electricity bill for the customers.
Okay, very interesting, Frank. Thank you for that explanation. Now, when I was in Shenzhen in December 2019 and spoke to Mr. Ding, it was mentioned that Growatt has shipped over a million inverter units to over 100 countries, amounting to 12 gigawatts. Which markets are you shipping the Grow Home Inverter series and the Grow Home residential solution this year?
Yeah, actually, Grow Home Inverter is a new product, mainly for residential market. It's also the core control unit for Grow Home system. It is the foundation of the customer to extend their PV system to Grow Home system in the future. So we launched this product, the Grow Home inverter in 2019. First in Australia, because the country has a great potential for the development of residential solar energy storage, and our brand and product are very well received by Australians. The inverter is also has been offered in Europe and APAC and Latin America. And for last year, I mean 2020, we have a very great success. We have shipped only for grow home inverter, I mean new one, we have shipped over 70,000 units in Australia in 2020, and globally we sold more than 150,000 units. And in the next 3 years, we expect to ship around 1 million units for this new generation of the inverters. So I think the customer could have installed the grow home inverter, can expand their PV system to use our grow home solution and enjoying the benefits of the smart and more efficiency solar solution, and receive higher returns for their investments.
Great, Frank, because I know there's been a lot of talk about smart home energy solutions, but it's great to see Growatt being a trailblazer here and developing this very integrated smart home energy solution. I don't know, Jonathan, do we have any questions from the audience?
In terms of markets, you've said, Frank, that obviously the Australian market with 70,000, almost half of your global shipments of the grow home to date, but then scaling up to targeting 1 million next year, which is quite extraordinary, not only in Australia, of course, but in terms of markets, you know, China is not only the powerhouse of PV production, but it's also been one of the biggest markets, the biggest market for a number of years. That's largely been in utility scale. How much growth are we seeing in distributed systems, commercial and industrial, of course, where Growatt string inverters can be deployed, but what about residential as well? Are we seeing some encouraging development?
To be honest, if you talk about the residential market in China, it's totally different from other countries, because the normally the average system capacity in China for residential market is around 30 to 50 kilowatts. So it's quite big. It's mainly in the village, because as you can see, like the big city in Shanghai or Beijing, we live in the apartment, not living in the house. So that's a difference. So there's not actually the European style or Australian style rooftop market in China. So in this case, we think for the small residential, especially for the system less than 10 kilowatt system, we don't think there is a market in China now or in the future.
Okay, that's interesting to hear. Okay, well, thank you very much. Oh, Eckhard, I see that. Did you want to jump in?
Well, I did want to say there were some interesting statistics this week about the residential market in China. I think AECA, they released that 48.2 gigawatts, amazing number was installed last year in China, with 10 gigawatts being residential. And I remember when I was in Shenzhen, I checked my notes, we were looking at 7 gigawatts for last year. So it actually became 10 gigawatts. So, so quite impressive.
Yeah, that's a very impressive news for all the players. And we think Growatt also can get a very good achievement in this year for the residential market in China. But it's a very big system, not small one.
Right.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. An interesting look forward to what we can expect in the market. Frank Chow, Growatt VP and co-founder, congratulations once again for being selected as the recipient of the Publishers Pick Award for 2020. Now, Eckhard, moving forward and looking forward indeed, we've been recognizing our 2020 innovators. But of course, we are in a new year, and congratulations to all of our award winners. What are you expecting from the market, the global PV market, now we're in 2021?
Well, you know, yesterday when Joe Biden was inaugurated, as the 46th US president, the sun was shining on the inauguration ceremony and shining on me too right now. So I think that means it will be a good year. And in fact, if you look at the US market and the fact that the Democratic Party now also controls the Congress, I think we'll see a lot of action in the US. And Joe Biden and the Biden administration have the goal of 2035 to have a carbon-free electricity grid. So I think that's an ambitious goal, but it's certainly doable. As we've reported in PV Magazine, it's even doable for 2030. And we just heard the amazing number from China, 60% growth from 2019 to 2020 to 48.2 gigawatts installed last year. And right here in Europe, we have the European Commission and their Green New Deal. And the fact that in December, so just last month, the Commission upped its goal from 40 to 55% reduction in emissions by 2030. So that's a very aggressive goal, and I think this will all help to grow PV in Europe. And so these big markets, Europe, US, and China, I'm very optimistic for this year and going forward.
Hopefully, as we come out of this global pandemic, we can, as Joe Biden has said, build back better, and hopefully that means lots of PV. But then, in terms of PV Magazine itself, what have we got on the agenda for 2021?
Well, I think we'll continue to invest in very good journalism, and we have our great global printed magazine, and which you head, Jonathan, and I think it's a very familiar publication globally. Plus, we have our German magazine, which is quarterly, and then we have our various websites, regional websites. Of course, we have our global website, pv-magazine.com, and also strong regional websites in Europe, in Germany, Spain, and France, in the US, in Australia. We just discussed Australia with Growat, and India, and we're also strong in Latin America with a Mexican website and a Latin American website. So I think we'll strengthen those platforms, and we will also work on our events. I think last year we really had very many virtual events. I would include webinars among them. I think today's virtual award ceremony is a great example of what you can do with this new technology. So I think 2021 will be another very exciting year for PV Magazine.
Indeed, and we've in fact strengthened our US editorial team just in recent weeks. We have one comment from an attendee saying the Democratic Party also controls the Senate. So hopefully Joe Biden will be able to pursue his green agenda, and that means plenty of solar. Well, I think we're almost coming up to our time for this 2020 award ceremony. Eckhard, thank you very much for leading this Publishers Pick Award again in 2020. If you're thinking about awards for 2021, just in the coming weeks, we'll be releasing the full schedule. So to let you know what you can expect, what categories we will be opening, and also how you can enter throughout the year. And as Eckhard mentioned, if you want to learn more about our award winners, they are featured in great detail in the January 2021 edition of PV Magazine Global. Be sure to pick up a copy from our website, and you can go into some more details. We've actually had some feature articles in recent months about some of the technologies that have been selected as award winners. So you can go into more detail. Tiling technology from Jinko Solar was explored a few months back. 5B also with their unique racking structure, their Maverick solution. So do check that out. Congratulations to all of our award winners. I would like to say once again, SolarEdge in the inverters category, Jollywood for materials with their N-type cell, Jinko Solar for that tiled module, the Tiger, 5B for their Maverick, Energetica picked up the Sustainability Award, Dua Barrel with a really innovative approach to off-grid storage, building a better barrel, perhaps one could say, and Growat, who picked up the Publishers Pick Award. thank you for attending today. Thank you to all our jurors who really do give up their time to review the many entries we come in and provide this special selection for you. Just internally, thank you to all of our moderators today, the PV Magazine editorial team, and to the people behind the scenes without whom events like this aren't able to be realized. Lucy Demelier in particular, Frederica Egera and Marina Ramal, thank you very much for your work on our awards ceremony today. Congratulations to all our winners, and I look forward to receiving many hundreds of award entries in 2021, and do stay in touch with PV Magazine to find out how you can enter rather. My name is Jonathan Gifford. I'm the editor-in-chief of PV Magazine Global, and it's been a great pleasure to present the 2020 PV Magazine Awards to you today.